you. Thank you so much. The defining economic challenge of our time is clear. We must raise incomes for hardworking Americans so they can afford a middle-class life. We must drive strong and steady income growth that lifts up families and lifts up our country. And that will be my mission from the first day I'm president to the last. I'll also push for broader business tax reform to spur investment in America, closing those loopholes that reward companies for sending jobs and profits overseas. And I know it's not always how we think about this, but another engine of strong growth should be comprehensive immigration reform. You know, when we get Americans moving, we get our country moving. So let's establish an infrastructure bank that can channel more public and private funds. And let's build those faster broadband networks and make sure there's a greater diversity of providers so consumers have more choice. And really, there's no excuse not to make greater investments in cleaner, renewable energy right now. It's time to recognize that quality, affordable childcare is not a luxury, it's a growth strategy. And it's way past time to end the outrage of so many women still earning less than men on the job and women of color making even less. Fair pay and fair scheduling, paid family leave and earned sick days, child care are essential to our competitiveness and our growth. And we can do this in a way that doesn't impose unfair burdens on businesses, especially small businesses. As president, I'll fight to put families first, just like I have my entire career. To get all incomes rising again, we need to strike a better balance. If you work hard, you ought to be paid fairly. So we do have to raise the minimum wage and implement President Obama's new rules on overtime. And then we have to go further. I'll crack down on bosses who exploit employees by misclassifying them as contractors or even steal their wages. I'll protect the Affordable Care Act and build on it to lower out-of-pocket health care costs. We need new ideas as well. And one that I believe in and will fight for is profit sharing. Hardworking Americans deserve to benefit from the record corporate earnings they help produce. So I will propose ways to encourage companies to share profits with their employees. First, hardworking families need and deserve tax relief and simplification. Second, those at the top have to pay their fair share. That's why I support the Buffett rule, which makes sure that millionaires don't pay lower rates than their secretaries. I've also called for closing the carried interest loophole, which lets wealthy financiers pay an artificially low rate. And let's agree that hugely successful companies that benefit from everything America has to offer should not be able to game the system and avoid paying their fair share, especially while companies who can't afford high-priced lawyers and lobbyists end up paying more. Alongside tax reform, it's time to stand up to efforts across our country to undermine worker bargaining power, which has been proven again and again to drive up wages. Trade has been a major driver of the economy over recent decades, but it has also contributed to hollowing out our manufacturing base and many hardworking communities. So we do need to set a high bar for trade agreements. We should support them if they create jobs, raise wages, and advance our national security. And we should be prepared to walk away if they don't. I'm committed to seeing every 4-year-old in America have access to high-quality preschool in the next 10 years. In an age of technological change, we need to provide pathways to get skills and credentials for new occupations and create online platforms to connect workers to jobs. There are exciting efforts underway, and I want to support and scale the ones that show results. That's why I've called for reviving the new markets tax credit and empowerment zones to create greater incentives to invest in poor and remote areas. To help more companies do that, I've proposed a new $1,500 tax credit for every worker they train and hire. And I will soon be proposing a new plan to reform capital gains taxes to reward longer-term investments that create jobs more than just quick trades. Over the course of this campaign, I will offer plans to rein in excessive risks on Wall Street and ensure that stock markets work for everyday investors, not just high-frequency traders and those with the best or fastest connections. I will appoint and empower regulators who understand that too big to fail is still too big a problem. We'll ensure that no firm is too complex to manage or oversee, and we will prosecute individuals as well as firms when they commit fraud or other criminal wrongdoing.